All right, welcome everyone. Get settled in for just a couple of minutes here. And if you read the newsletter, I don't expect that, but if you did read my newsletter for this week, just talking about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, or the polyvagal theory that really lines up with the gunas in yoga. The yogis were so wise. Come on, it's so great. So we have this energy, the tamas, which is kind of a heavy, almost, it lines up with the dorsal vagal system, kind of almost a shutdown system. And we go there sometimes when we're exhausted or when there's some threat to ourselves. Then we have rajas, or raja energy, or rajaguna state. And that is like a super, that's the sympathetic nervous system. We're excited, we're action oriented. We have to have sympathetic nervous system to get stuff done. And then the third state is the ventral vagal system, and that lines up with sattvic, the sattvic guna, which is this place where we can really experience both calm and joy, engagement and alertness, but we're relaxed. And when you feel that place, really imprint it into your body, because that's where we want to be most of the time. And we go through our whole day. Think about it. You're driving, right? And somebody cuts you off in traffic, and boom, you go into sympathetic nervous system because you're being threatened in some way. You feel threatened in some way. Perfectly normal. How do you toggle back to being calm and connected, feeling some compassion maybe for that person, and just being able to come back to that state of sort of middle way state, right? So we're going to practice today with a pretty energizing, it's going to be a pretty energizing practice, but we're going to toggle back to some more the parasympathetic nervous system. So we'll go back and forth. And energizing doesn't need to be, it doesn't mean overly stimulated or overly busy. That's the myth in our culture, right? That we need to be overstimulated all the time. We need to be busy all the time. And that's the awakened state. Not true. All right. How about on your backs to start? And remember to honor your own body, your own place of both effort and ease. So as you start on your backs, just you might invoke a yawn here. Take that pendiculation, stretching both legs long, stretching arms overhead. We use the time on the floor to really scan into our bodies. What's going on in my body right now as I settle into practice? Then from that long stretch position, can you just take both feet to the right? Maybe you stack the left ankle on top of the right ankle. So making like a elongated letter C. Really stretching through side ribs, and then take your feet over to the right. So just go back and forth. And if your arms extended above your head, if that doesn't work for you, you can always interlace your hands behind your head and slide elbow. Yeah, just really see if you can keep your back on the floor, your low back on the floor. Right, then we'll come back to the legs, the legs bent, soles of the feet on the floor. Bring your arms into the goalpost position. And here, just press your arms into the floor as you inhale and draw your low back away from the floor. So pelvic tilt, anterior pelvic tilt. And then as you exhale, relax the pressure on your arms and let your low back press into the floor. So you're just doing some pelvic tilts with a little pressure on the arms on the inhale, relaxing on the exhale. Through the entire time, keep the back of your neck long, so chin tucked in. Just, again, thinking here, we're scanning the body, see where we are today at this time that we set down on our mat. Great. Okay, then you can bring your arms alongside your body and feet about the distance away from your buttocks, just so you can just reach out and touch your heels with your fingers. Inhale to draw the low back away from the floor slightly, and then you press into your heels, lift your hips, arms come behind. Okay, and then roll everything back down on the exhale. So we call this a cascading bridge. And then just keep working that nice and slowly, just to feel into your spine. What's happening in your spine right now? You don't have to lift the hips very high, just moving back and forth in this motion, an undulating motion as you move back and forth, pressing up and then lowering back down. Great. Then the next time you rest your hips back to the floor, just take your hands behind your knees so the feet are kind of floating. And we'll just warm up through the knees, through the knee joint, the ankle joint. So inhale and lift your right leg towards the ceiling. Pull your toes back towards your shins. And exhale, as you bend through your knee, point your toes. So same on the left side. So it's an inhale towards the ceiling, ankle flexed, and then exhale, point the toes. Just go back and forth at a pace that feels nice to you. Yep, just if you are very tight in your hips and hamstrings and it doesn't work to have your hands, can't quite get the hands right behind the knees, and you could have a belt there as well, right? You could have a belt there so that if your legs are a little further away from your torso. And then switch it up. Next time you inhale, point the toes. Exhale, flex and bend the knee. Inhale, straighten towards the ceiling, point the toes. Exhale, flex and bend the knee. There we go. So just really good. Our bodies really like it. Our brains really like the variety of switching things up. Back and forth a few times. Good. And then after you've done an even number, bring the soles of your feet back to the floor, grab a block, and take your block between your upper inner thighs. Right? So somewhere either, right in by the pubic bone or a little closer to the knees. I like it a little closer to the knees, feels a little more comfortable. Interlace your hands behind your head, squeezing the block. Now squeeze the block, pull your toes back towards your shins, press your low back towards the floor, but don't let it touch completely. Now, this might be enough for you just right here. This is pretty good, intense work. If this feels okay, On your next exhale, round yourself up, bring your chin towards your chest, your elbows towards one another, and curl up towards your knees. Keep squeezing the block. Inhale, set everything back down. Exhale, round up, squeezing elbows towards one another, pressing your low back towards the floor, but not completely touching if possible. Inhale, come back down. All right, and exhale. Let's repeat this somewhere between 8 and 20 times. You decide. You decide. And of course, going slower is a little bit more challenging because we really are calling on our muscles to do the work without just like this sort of momentum, right? Just we're asking for very conscientious or very conscious engagement through this whole movement. Great. Once you've got to the number that works for you, take the soles of your feet to the floor, take your block, press your hips up, and set your block underneath your sacrum. Take one leg long, the other leg could stay bent, or both legs long if that feels okay. Just countering the hip flexion, right? So length through the hips, the front of the hips. You got it. Okay, and then keeping your hips right on the block, bring the soles of your feet back to the floor. Now pick your toes up and spike your heels down into the floor. Arms can be alongside you or pointed up towards the ceiling, and then press yourself up, press your hips up. If it works for you, just to reach your hand and really feel your hamstring engagement right up against the LBMs, lower butt muscles, really feel that engagement. We'll just dip down, touch the block, press back up. Keep the toes lifted as you repeat this. Again, anywhere from 8 to 20 times. Really feel the engagement, buttocks, outer gluteus max, gluteus medius, piriformis, all working here. But the hamstrings are online as well with the toes lifted. There we go. And keep it up. You got it. Consistency over intensity. Right? And then the next time you set your hips down to the block, soles of the feet to the floor, can you walk your feet back a little closer to your hips? And maybe some of you will be able to grab your ankles. If you can't grab your ankles, just hands to the back of your leg, your Achilles tendon, then just press up slightly, draw your knees away. Draw your knees away, feel a lot of length in the front of the thigh. Great. Then set your hips back down to the block, move your feet away. Pick your hips up, take the block out, set yourself back down to the floor. And now you'll bring your knees over your hips, and you're going to take your block right into your thigh. I'm going to take the middle setting. So I don't want it to be on its lowest setting or its highest setting. I want the middle setting of the block. So block into thigh, right thigh, and right elbow presses into the thigh. Left hand behind your head. Press your elbow into the block. Press your thigh into the block. You're trying to squeeze the block. Squeeze the block. Now, you could keep your head on the floor, or you could lift your head and shoulders off the floor, supported by your left hand, and squeeze and press and squeeze and press that block. Really feel a lot of engagement in your core here. For 3, 2, 1, release. Take the block over to the left leg, left elbow into the block, right hand behind your head, press the block, squeeze the block like you're trying to squeeze water out of a sponge. Elbow into the block, thigh into the block, lift the head and shoulders if you like, or leave your head on the floor, squeezing, squeezing for 3, 2, 1, release. Take the soles of your feet to the floor, press your hips up, block underneath the sacrum, take your legs long again, and take a revitalizing breath cycle right here. Inhale and exhale. Great, then bend your knees again, take the soles of your feet to the floor, press up, remove the block, take it over to the side, roll onto one side now, resting your head in your hand or resting your head on your outstretched bottom arm. Bend the top leg and take the top foot with the top hand in a half a bow, half a Dhanurasana, side Dhanurasana. Bottom leg is long, pressing the pinky toe of the outstretched leg into the floor for balance. And we'll hold this for 3, 2, 1. Now, when you release that top foot, just set it down on the floor behind your buttocks. Roll to your back. And then draw the bent leg across your body, taking the outside of that leg with the opposite hand, and you're in a twist. You're in a twist. Beautiful. Untwist and roll to the other side. Again, you can rest on outstretched bottom arm, or you could bend the bottom elbow and rest your head in your hand, bend the top leg, and take the top foot with the top hand. Press the bottom pinky toe into the floor to help you balance. We're in side bow, half a bow. Holding, stretching. You can, if you're easily able to get your heel to your buttocks, draw the thigh back for 3, 2, 1. Then take the sole of that foot to the floor behind the outstretched leg. Roll onto your back. See if you can get both shoulders onto the floor. Then draw that knee across your midline, across your body. Take the outside of your leg with your opposite hand. Come into a twist. For 3, 2, 1. Release. Good. Then come to your back. Just here, just take a couple of pelvic tilts just to neutralize your low back, sacrum. Maybe bring the knees in and kind of circle the knees in and out. Okay, we're going to meet in table. So take your time and either cross at the ankles and rock yourself up, or roll to one side and press yourself up. We'll meet in table. And you want a block handy and some sort of smaller, like a couch pillow or something. All right, so meet in table. And in your table, just look behind you. Make sure your feet are lined up behind your knees. And take a few rounds of cat-cow. Take a few rounds of cat-cow here. Great. Then come to neutral spine. Bring your left hand forward slightly and pitch your left foot out like a little bit like a kickstand. Roll onto your left hand, reach your right leg long, touching your right toes to the floor, and reach your right arm over, bicep over ear. Great, yep, so we're in sort of a prep for side plank. We're gonna play with this a little bit. So holding this nice side stretch, or you could lift the top leg, bringing toes back towards shins. Now lifting the top arm. So now that's an Ardha Chandrasana on the knees kind of shape. And here you can hold this, or you could bend the top knee and take your top foot with your top hand, really opening the top shoulder and pressing foot into hand, hand into foot. Doesn't matter where you are. Keep your head relaxed if you can. And then we'll hold for 3, 2, 1. We'll reach the top leg back to the floor, reach the top arm back up and over. And then spin our chest to the floor. Right hand comes back underneath shoulders, both knees underneath hips. 2 rounds of cat-cow. 2 rounds of cat-cow. Right, then we take the right hand forward slightly and wing that right foot out slightly. Bring the left foot long and the left arm over, bicep over ear. We're on the other side now. Right here is fine if you want to stay here, or you could lift that top leg parallel to the floor, toes back towards shins, really working the outer hip here, right, for this lift. And also you could stay here, or you could bend through the top foot knee and take top foot with top hand. Keep the back of your neck relaxed, keep your head relaxed. And we hold for 3, 2, 1. We'll all take the leg back to the floor, reach the top arm over the ear again. And then roll your chest down to the floor, hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Take 2 rounds of cat-cow. Great, then we need a block between the ankles. So just slip a block back there between your ankles. You're in the table position and squeeze the block between your ankles. Now lift the block off the floor towards your buttocks. You're spiking your heels down, or spiking your knees down into the floor. And you can press and hold, or you can vinyasa by lifting the block repeatedly up towards your buttocks. You might find a little cramping happening in the calves or the hammies or even the soles of your feet. So choose what you're going to do carefully. Great. Then we set the block down and bring our hips right back to the block, so we're in Virasana. Move your calves out of the way as you come back, sliding the calves out to the outside. And here now, inhale into a cow. So arching the low back away, and exhale, slide your hands towards your knees and round, tucking your chin and cat. Inhale to cow. Draw the chest forward, the shoulder blades down and in. Exhale, slide your hands towards the front of your knees, round your back, tuck your chin. Back and forth a few times here in this seated cat-cow. Great, then we'll come forward back to table. You can move the block over to the side, coming back to table. and find cow. So that's a forward tilt of the pelvis. Exhale, round through your back, press into your hands and reach your hips back towards your heels. Inhale, come back to cow. Now turn the toes under, exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. And we'll hold, squeeze your muscle to bone, kneecaps pull up. Okay, so one of the reasons we hold poses in yoga is because we're strengthening, we're not only strengthening the muscles through eccentric, concentric contraction, but when we hold, we actually strengthen the bones. We are molding the bones. We hold to mold. Inhale, come back to cow. Exhale, round, press hips back towards heels. Child's pose. Inhale to cow. Exhale, turn toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. So we hold to mold. And bone health is very important as we age. Inhale, drop your knees, come back to cow. Exhale, round, press your hips back towards your heels, tops of the feet to the floor, child's pose. Inhale, cow. Turn toes under, exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Reach one heel towards the floor, then the opposite. Trying to get a little length in your calves, your Achilles tendon. Very good. And then inhale, come back down to your knees. Take your forearms to the floor, interlacing fingers, releasing the pinky. Right? Elbows underneath shoulders, turn toes under, press hips up and back, come into dolphin. Press your forearms firmly into the floor. You'll feel your shoulder blades move away from one another, move away from midline. Here we are, pressing. Draw your kneecaps up. Bend through your knees slightly and draw your pubic bone away from your navel. So recommit to the forward pelvic tilt, then reach the hips up one more time. See if you can get your sit bones aiming towards the ceiling. For 3, 2, 1, listen carefully. We'll release the hands, rock to one elbow or forearm and press your hand into the floor, and then the other hand. So you come right up to downward facing dog. Inhale, come to the cow. Exhale, set your hips back towards your heels in child's pose. And then slide on your belly or slide onto your belly for elbows underneath, shoulders in Sphinx. Draw your chest forward, draw your shoulder blades down and in. Pressing pubic bone into the floor, tops of the feet into the floor. And then on your next exhale, just release down to the floor, bring your arms alongside your body and your forehead to the floor. Palms are up, reach your hands towards the ceiling. Hands up towards the ceiling. Tops of the feet press into the floor. Lift your head and shoulders. Keep the back of your neck long. Lift your legs, squeeze your legs together. For 3, 2, 1, release, make a little hand pillow. Rest your forehead on your hand pillow. Bend through your knees, rock your feet back and forth. We'll do one more. So bring your forehead back to the floor and the backs of your hands to the floor alongside your body. Lift the shoulder tops first, Hands press up towards the ceiling. Then lift your head and shoulders. Lift your legs, squeeze your legs together. You could keep your hands here or bring them out to a T. All right, but keep squeezing the shoulder blades in and down, pressing your pubic bone into the floor. Now, can you lift your navel away from the floor? Try to pull your navel up and in like you're pulling it away from the floor. For 3, 2, 1, bend your elbows, bring your hands underneath your low ribs, press yourself up to all fours, and reach your hips back towards your heels. Just back towards your heels. Then come to cow. Turn toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale to walk your feet up towards your hands, bend your knees, hands to thighs, like you're peering into a little tide pool or something right out in front of you. Then hips back, hips back, hips back. Press yourself up to standing and Tadasana, nice and slow, nice and slow. Coming into Tadasana with your fingertips pointing towards the floor. Good, great. Now, just relax your stance a little bit, feet underneath hips, and bounce your heels. Bounce your heels. Bounce your heels. Just bounce your heels. Good. And then inhale, we'll sweep the arms up, come up onto your toes. Exhale, release. Inhale, sweep the arms up, come up onto your toes. Exhale, release. Now, as you do this a few more times, notice if you come up evenly or you tend to fall in towards the big toe side or out towards the pinky toe side. See if you can keep it really even as you move up and down. And see if you can go a little bit slower with control as you move up and down. Beautiful. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Good. And then final time we come down. Let's find the weight in one foot. Doesn't matter which way. We're going to come to Vrikasana, the tree pose right away here. So resting the opposite foot on top of the standing leg, into the calf, or into the inner seam of the standing leg. You decide for today. Pull everything to midline. Gather everything to midline. And then holding, standing leg hip. Draw the outer hip in towards the center. See if you can really feel the outer hip pulling in towards midline, i.e. squeeze your butt. And release. Bounce your heels. Bounce your heels. Bounce your heels. Bounce your heels. Take the other side. Grounded through the feet, all four corners of your feet, resting opposite foot on top of the standing leg foot, into the calf, or into the inner leg. This side might be different, feels very different for me today. Gather to the middle, outer hip to midline, squeeze the butt. Here's where we're going. We're dropping. We've created a lot of energy. We got the sympathetic nervous system going. Now toggle back and find some calm. Find some calm here. Release and bounce the heels. Bounce the heels. Bounce the heels. Good. Separate the feet now. And we'll inhale, right arm up, left hand down the left leg. Back to the other side. So just back and forth. Side stretching. Reaching up and over. Could be a slight bend in your knees here. Right. Now, if you've got your blocks, make sure you have your blocks behind your mat in case you want them. So behind the long edge of your mat, we're lined up on the long edge of the mat. We'll take our stance nice and wide and move through some standing postures. So let's begin with the left foot out, right heel swings out. And just with your hands on your hips, can you move back and forth in your warrior two legs? Just feel the hips diving sort of down towards the floor, front leg as parallel to the floor as possible, but don't forget the back foot. So as you bend through the front knee, press into the back foot. Good. Next time you drop into the legs, extend the arms out, warrior two. Inhale, reach the fingertips. Exhale, ground into the floor. Inhale, turn the front palm and reach the front arm. Exhale, front forearm to front thigh, up and over with the top hand, extended side angle. Inhale, sweep top arm back, come back to warrior two. Exhale, ground. Inhale, straighten both legs, reach arms overhead, both feet turn to line up parallel with one another. Exhale, hands through heart center. Turn the right foot out, turn the left heel out, hands to hips, just a little vinyasa with the legs, finding the warrior two stance. As you bend through the front knee, press into the back heel. Make sure that front knee is tracking over the middle toes, and then inhale the arms out. Exhale, draw your energy down into the legs, down into your grounding. Inhale, sweep the front arm forward. Exhale, hand or elbow or forearm comes to the front thigh, back or top hand up and over. Inhale, sweep back through warrior two. Exhale, ground. Inhale, straighten both legs, turn both feet, arms up. Exhale, hands through heart center. Release, go back to the first side. Left foot out, right heel out. Vinyasa the legs first. Feel as if you're bending the front knee and pressing into the back foot at the same time. Find your warrior two. Inhale, reach the fingertips. Exhale, ground the legs. Inhale, turn the front palm. Exhale, front forearm to front thigh, reach the back arm, which becomes the top arm over the ear. Then inhale, sweep the top arm back and let your front hand just land wherever it's going to land in Trikonasana. Inhale as you bend through the front knee, sweep your arms back, warrior two. Exhale, ground. Inhale, straighten both legs, turn both feet. Arms above your head, exhale through heart center. We'll try that on the other side. Turn the right foot out, left heel out. Vinyasa the legs. You could add the arms too if you want. Just want to feel into the legs. And really feel this same, the front knee bends as the back heel presses down to the floor. Find warrior two. Next inhale, turn your palm up, reach. Exhale, forearm comes to your thigh, up and over. We slide into Trikonasana now. We keep the upper body open and we simply inhale this top arm. We extend the front leg and our hand, wherever our hand lands, that's our Trikonasana. Might be on your ankle, your shin, or your thigh. Keep tucking that front butt under, front leg. Keep tucking the hip, the butt muscles under. Inhale, sweep back through warrior two. Exhale, ground. Inhale, straighten both legs, both hands overhead. Exhale, hands through heart center. Release your hands down to your sides. Turn the left foot out now. Inhale, find your warrior two. Take a full breath cycle here. Holding, molding the bones. Inhale, flip front hand. Exhale, come into extended side angle. Inhale, sweep the top arm up as you straighten the front leg and come into your Trikonasana. Holding here for 3, 2, 1. Bend through the front leg as you inhale and sweep yourself back into warrior two. Exhale, ground. Inhale, straighten both legs, turn both feet, arms overhead. Exhale, hands through heart center. Turn the right foot, turn the left heel, sweeping open into warrior two. Front knee really tracking over the middle toes. Inhale. Reach the front hand. Exhale. Extended side angle. Inhale as you sweep the top arm up. Your front hand rests into Trikonasana, wherever that allows you to keep your upper body open. Bending through the front knee on the inhale back to warrior two. Exhale, really grounding. Inhale, sweep both arms up, both feet face one, line up parallel to one another, and then exhale, hands through heart center. Release your hands down to your sides, close your eyes for just a minute. Imagine the sacrum, your sacrum is lined up with your heels. Now walk your feet in slightly, heel toe your feet in slightly until you can come into some version of goddess stance with the knees or the thighs parallel to the feet. Inhale here to sit down into your goddess pose, and exhale, release your hands to the floor in a fold. Okay, so play with your feet. You might have a block for this. That's fine if you do. The inhale will be to fold, to bend at the knees, to come into goddess, to bring the hands to prayer. And the exhale will be to come into a fold. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Now on this next exhale, just stay there. Stay there. If you've got a block, see if you can take your block to your lowest setting. Take your left hand on top of the block, right underneath your sternum. Draw your left inner seam of your leg towards your right inner seam of your, towards the inner seam of your right leg, and twist to the right. Reaching your right arm up. So the pelvis is really, your hips are not really level here because you've drawn the inner left thigh towards the inner right thigh, and then release Right hand comes to the block now. Draw the inner seam of your right leg towards the inner seam of your left leg and twist to the left. Release down to the block. Both hands now on the block. Both hands on the block or the floor. Line the back of your heels up with your sacrum. So if you tend to pitch forward, see if you can bring your sacrum in line with the back of your heels. Bend through your knees, take your hands to your thighs. Press yourself up to standing. Heel toe the feet together and bounce the heels. Bounce the heels. Bounce the heels, bounce the arms, bounce the hands. Let everything just be really fluid. And then to the front of the mat, in Tadasana. Palms forward, fingertips reaching to the floor. Line your ears up over your shoulders. Feet are equally weighted here, equally weighted. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold through center. Hands to the floor. Step yourself or jump yourself back to downward facing dog. Inhale, rock forward to high dandasana. Press the floor away. Lifting your hips. Lifting your navel away from the floor. And then press yourself back. Downward facing dog. Walk your feet up towards your hands. So you're in kind of a really bent forward fold. Then rock yourself back, sweep your hands back towards your heels. Press yourself in through Utkatasana. All the way up to standing. Hands to your sides. Take your time, might be a little dizzy. Reach your fingertips towards the floor. Right foot forward, left foot back. Warrior one. Warrior one. Inhaling to reach fingertips towards the ceiling. Exhale, straighten both legs and reach your fingertips towards the floor. Inhale, bend through your front knee, reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Keep the back foot engaged. Exhale, straighten both arms, straighten the front leg. Reaching fingertips down towards the floor, ears stay over shoulders. Inhale, bend through the front knee, sweep arms up. And from here, you're just going to rock forward a couple times. I gotta sneeze. Yeah, excuse me. And then lifting the back leg any amount as you straighten through the front leg. Taking flight. Taking flight. Good. Now, wherever you are, hinge back up, lifting the back leg into a figure four, standing figure four. Draw the standing leg hip in. Draw that leg, the outer hip towards the midline, and then twist in the direction of the bent leg with your opposite hand to the outside of that leg. If you fall out, it's okay. It's legal. We just get back in. Release both feet to the mat. Bounce your heels. Bounce your heels. Bounce your heels. Let your hands go. Release. Good. Good. Keep the left foot forward. Step the right foot back. Inhale, sweep the arms up as you bend the front knee. Warrior one on this side. Exhale, straighten through both legs and reach your fingertips down towards the floor. Ears over shoulders. Inhale, bend the front knee, sweep the arms up. Exhale, straighten the front leg. Reach the fingertips towards the floor. Inhale, bend the front knee, sweep the arms up, and then hinge forward, lean forward. Front leg stays bent. You slide the back leg up. And as you straighten the front leg, you lift the back leg any amount, taking flight. Holding to mold. Inhale, sweep the back leg up. So you come into this figure four, standing figure four. Great, then we twist in the direction of the bent leg, taking the outside of that thigh with the opposite hand. For 3, 2, 1, release. Both feet to the floor. Bounce your heels. Bounce your heels, bounce your heels, bounce your heels. Shake your legs, shake your arms, shake your body. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Oh boy, dance party. Dance party, good. Yeah. And then taking a pretty wide stance, we'll come down into a squat, hands to the floor. If this is okay for you, go right to your seat from here. If you need to go knees under first, then to your seat, do whatever works in your body to come to the floor. We'll take legs straight on the mat, hands behind us, Dandasana. Drawing your heels, pushing your heels into the floor and isometrically draw your heels back towards your hips. How much of your hamstring can you engage on the floor? Pelvis is tilted forward here. So we keep the hands behind our back so we can keep that arch in the low back. And we'll stay for 3, 2, 1. Now this is where we use our blanket or our little pillow. So I'll take my feet, so you can see this. I'll take my feet over to the left first, and I'm just going to take the corner of the blanket underneath my right hip, just enough to keep my hips level from off the floor. Okay, so my feet are over to the left, and the top of my left foot is resting in the sole of my right foot. I'll change my orientation. You can see this from the front. So my knees and my feet are over to the left of my body. I've got the pillow underneath my right hip. Sitting up nice and tall, I'm going to twist to the right, away from the direction where I have my feet. Now, as you twist, can you open your eyes? Expand your gaze. Maybe stretch your eyes back. Stretch your ocular muscles. Open a wide gaze. So all the time we spend with screens or even reading or indoors, we get shorter eye muscles because we're more focused on things like right in front of us. So it's a great idea to go outside and take in a really big open gaze. It's really great for our eyes. We'll try this a little bit here, and then I would encourage you to get outside today to do that, or tomorrow. Great, we release into a little counter twist. And then we'll scoot the pillow over to the other side, bring the feet over to the right. So your top of your right foot is resting in the sole of your left foot. Feet are offset to the right. Sit up nice and tall, and the twist is to the left now. I've got my right hand to the outside of my left leg and my left hand behind me like a little kickstand. I'm going to stretch my eyes, open my gaze, take in as much as I can. Then a little counter twist. So come back to center and twist in the other direction. Great. Now coming to Baddha Konasana. And you could have some blocks underneath your knees here. We're just here momentarily. Hands behind you again to keep that the low back in that more of an anterior tilt of the pelvis. Okay, you want the low back to have a little bit of arch in it. Great. From here, there's going to be a couple of options. Okay. So we can lower to the floor onto our backs by taking the knees together, hands behind our legs, and just lowering down. Alternatively, you could come to your belly. Come to your belly for a few breaths. When we are on the belly, we stimulate the vagus nerve, which runs from the brainstem down to the belly. That helps us to drop into parasympathetic nervous system. If you decide to take your back, take that pillow and place it on your belly. And just put your hands on top of your pillow or your blanket or folded up blanket or bolster. And just a little bit of pressure, just a teeny bit, just so you feel your belly rise against the pillow and then release. So either on your belly or your back with the pillow, bolster, or blanket on top of your belly. Just for a couple of breaths. You don't have to stay here, just a couple of breaths. And see if you can get a sense of toggling now back towards parasympathetic rest and digest. Again, we need to be able to move efficiently through these systems in our body. So now you could take a little bit of a little survey of your body. So notice where you might be holding, because we're done holding, and perhaps it's in your back. Lots of times the holding is in our face, in our jaw. So can you relax your jaw? If possible, your teeth are not touching and your lips are just slightly touching. What about the corners of your eyes? Can you relax the corners, the outer corners of your eyes? Relax the space between your brow, the space between your brow, the mental grasping, relax that space. And let your breathing just be deep, deep and long and relaxed. Bodies are so really designed to efficiently move back and forth. If you've ever watched a deer get spooked and then it shakes it off, and goes back to grazing. So our bodies, our mammalian bodies are really designed to move back and forth between alertness and relaxed. Stay as you are. I will close us with an Om. You can just allow the vibration of the Om to wash over you. And then I'll ring the chime at the end to bring us back to our seats. So. Om.